Good evening. I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018 to order. Can we have a roll call, please? Mr.
Yes.
Alexandrovich.
Mrs. Witkowski.
Here.
Mr. Gamble. Here. Mrs. Evans.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mrs. Larson.
Here.
And I am here, and Mr. Nielsen is excused.
Thank you. The meeting has been properly posted. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is community comment. Do you have community comment? I have community comment. All right. Come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
So I am Ann Sapersky, 7851 West Canterbury Court in Franklin. You guys all know I've been here a couple times in the last few months, and I am here tonight to say a huge thank you. Just about a week ago, we were notified that the 4th grade at Ben Franklin would be increased from 2 sections to 3 sections. And I don't know if you heard the screaming from the rooftops. It wasn't just me, though it might have been a lot of me. The result of that has been just overwhelming surprise, shock, and gratitude from the 4th grade parents at Ben Franklin. I understand there have been other sections added throughout the district and there's similar feelings, but particularly I'm here tonight to say thank you so much from Ben Franklin. I've had responses from people, everything from a text that said, great googly moogly, to someone who wrote me a very long message that brought me to tears saying, I've been so worried about his prospects this year and I can sleep better tonight knowing that it worked and our kids will win this year. So, I mean, we've had, and I mean, just everything, great news, happy, you know, 3rd grade was rough, we're so excited for 4th grade, this is awesome, what a difference, these kids will have such a great year. So, I just really wanted to say thank you to all the powers that be that made it happen, even if it was just extra kids moving in. I might have been out there recruiting for the neighborhood too. Whatever it was, we're very grateful and we're looking forward to a great year. And having now been in 3 separate buildings in the district just today with my 3 kids in different places, I think the district as a whole is ready for the school year. Friendly faces, smiling, you know, staff and administration greeting everyone. I think it's just an exciting time for Franklin. We're ready for a new school year. So,
Thanks for sharing your comments. Thank you. Okay, since there's no further comments, we'll move on to item 5, consent agenda. Would any board member like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Witkowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gamble. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 is school board announcements. Sorry, I'm going to move back to item 3, approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gamble. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Witkowski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. Item 6, school board announcements. Are there any announcements? Go ahead.
I'd just like to say I received a huge thank you today from a parent from Ben Franklin as well, and she did tell me to let the board know how excited she was and happy she was that there was another section added at Ben Franklin.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I have 2 announcements. I just want to let the board know, last night at the CISA 1 Board of Control meeting, I was elected treasurer of the Board of Control, and I'm happy and proud of that, but it's just also good for Franklin, because we're recognized on the Board of Control and in the other school districts, so I just wanted to let you know that. And then the other announcement is, I just want to announce that today is Megan's last board meeting with us, and I want to thank you, Megan, for the work you've done with us. It's 7 years she's been here. That was the week of the National Night Out, because that was her first day here when we had a National Night Out. And so I want to thank you for being dedicated to us. So,
Thank you, Megan. Good luck.
yeah, thank you. Any other announcements? Thank you. Item 7 is the school board calendar. Regular school board meeting Wednesday, September 12th, 2018, here at the Education Community Center at 6 o'clock p.m. and a regular school board meeting Wednesday, September 26, 2018, here at the ECC at 6:00 PM. Item 8, reports and presentations and other school board business. 8A, the pupil services report, seclusion and restraint report. Mrs. Freeman.
Yes, thank you. So annually, the district is required, according to Wisconsin Act 125, to update the board on the use of seclusion and restraint in the district for our students. This is an annual requirement, and so you should have in your board documents a report like this showing the seclusion restraint numbers that are used across the district according to the school. Seclusion and restraint can only be used under certain circumstances per the law, which is when a student presents a clear, present, and imminent risk to the physical safety of the child or the physical safety of another. So we look at this data annually and ongoing, so we look for student-specific patterns so we can address those quickly. And we also look at our data from year to year. And so I'm pleased that we have continued to see a decrease in the use of seclusion and restraint across the district. And I think this is in part due to a lot of efforts of our teaching staff and our trainers to have teachers that are able to proactively address student behaviors before escalation and a dangerous situation exists. So are there any questions?
I just wanted to comment on your memo to us that you did indicate that you implement strategies, which I can see attributes to the reduction in the restraints and seclusions. Although, if you look from year to year, and you see that some schools have 0, and then the next year they have a higher amount of restraints and seclusions. So sometimes it does depend on a new student coming in or a new student leaving, but I congratulate you on this, the strategies that you're developing. And then also, when you bring this to us each year, I'm assuming it's because you just want us to, we're required to know that you are sending parent documentation of these. So how do you monitor that?
So we have a system internally that anytime seclusion or restraint is used, we have a reporting requirement that within, I think it's 24 hours, the parent has to be notified, and we follow it up and make them aware that a report is available within 48 hours for their review. So this report, though, I think became part of state law to make districts accountable. There were concerns that school districts were using seclusion and restraint in very large numbers and in instances when it wasn't appropriate or required. So in sharing this information with the board, it helps to keep the district accountable and helps us also monitor progress.
Thank you.
And one more thing, so do we accept a report, or what's our action, just to hear the?
There's no action on it.
Can I just ask, though, I mean, you provided the year-to-year comparison, but can we just keep that in board docs in a separate folder so that, they're always easily found if you wanted to check back to a previous year? Is that possible?
I'm not sure how it's filed. I'm assuming that it can be. I
mean, I went back to last year, but
Through the agenda process, though, right?
I just searched. But that's up to the board. I mean, does the board
I mean, we
want?
have a library available, it's not, you could even link it from the agenda into the library, it's just there, it's just a convenience thing.
You can create a folder in board docs, correct, right? So in the library, there can be a separate folder with these reports, which are open records. and-
How many years back are you asking to go back?
Oh, we could just start from going forward now. I'm not saying you have to go back and find them, I'm just saying going forward,
You can keep them there.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Item 8B is the treasurer's report, which can be found in the board docs library. And 8C, the Forest Park construction report, Mr. Milzer.
Yes. In the music area, which is the area furthest towards Forest Park, the painting is done and the ceiling tile installation is starting in there. If you remember when we took our tour, that was the part that was farthest along. In the next section over, section D, they're working on painting, cabling, insulation, and they're putting in the ceiling tile grid, the metal that holds up the ceiling tiles. There's electrical, plumbing, and HVAC pretty much going on in some stage or another all the way across the building, except in the music area. In Area C, which is the classroom wing that goes towards the southeast, they're installing the blocking in the walls, and when they're finished with that, they'll start the drywall in that area. Windows are being installed on the east side of the building. You might have noticed that if you came past the building. They're getting towards the end of that, and then they'll start wrapping around the other side. And probably the most noticeable is that the driveway is paved, which is very nice. Nice to drive on, and it's nice that all of that dust isn't blowing all over everything. But we do have 2 issues with the drive already that I'd like to talk about. One, in the front, there's a right turn lane, and there was a curb put in for that in preparation for paving. And the construction manager was looking at it and noticed it was too high. So they got the surveyor out and looked at it, and it was indeed too high, although it was according to plan. So the civil engineer had just drawn it too high. So that had to be removed. It was re-poured about 2 hours ago. So it's out there ready to go. Once that firms up, then they'll pave that turn lane and that'll be available. But all of that is being paid for by the civil engineering firm that made the error on the height. So the district isn't paying for any of that. And the second piece is along the front here on the drive. There's a section or 2 of the curbing that when the construction manager and Mr. Cloutier looked at it, they didn't think that was right, and they looked at the plans, compared it, and it wasn't right, and that was an installation problem. So that company will be paying to redo that, although that one will probably wait until next summer because we're too close to the start of school to rip all of that up and start over. We'd rather have it, I mean, it's not that bad, so we'd rather have it nice and paved when everybody, all the teachers come back and the parents are coming back. So we'll probably leave that unless we can fit it in. And again, the district isn't paying for any of that either. It just needs to be done correctly. And that's the end of my report.
If I could just add a couple things. We are sending a letter home to the families at Forest Park Middle School this year to let them know that some floor tile has been removed from some hallways within the school. It was necessary to do that work this summer. I'll make sure that you get a copy of that. It is clean. It's not pretty, but it's certainly very functional for the students, and we'll keep that up. But we did want the parents to know that in advance. And then the second thing is all of our staff from Forest Park will be touring the new school on the 27th. So they're very excited about that, which we think is a great way to kind of get them through a year where they don't have floor tile in some of their classrooms and in the hallway. So,
All the staff of Forest Park Middle School?
Correct.
Okay.
correct.
So the floor tile is that just in the hallways?
It's not, it's hallways and classroom spaces. Not
And why
all
was
of
it-
them, however.
Why was it removed?
Jim, do you want to field that question? I could, but you
Yeah.
probably have a real good explanation, like moving forward from.
Yeah, in that building and a couple of others, we have tile that had asbestos in it, and it was managed in place so that as long as we kept a good layer of wax on it and there was nothing actually getting to the tile, it was fine. But when we look at demolishing the building, we can't demolish it with anything with asbestos in it. So all of it has to be removed before the building can be demolished. And the timeline for next summer in getting out of the building, getting all of the asbestos-related items out of there, and tearing the building down, and putting the parking in and getting it all ready for school to start is incredibly tight. So we had to do some of it this year to get it out of the way, otherwise we wouldn't have been ready for school to start.
Any other?
What percent is done? Half of it's done? I just, not a sense for.
I think all of the floor tile is done. There's a couple of other items that are down below the school that'll have to be pulled out, I think, at the beginning before they start demolition. Or at least while they're demolishing one part of the building, they'll be removing that in another part.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. And then we move on to 9, school board liaison reports. 9A, the personnel and policy 2018-19 policy review schedule. Dr. Miller?
You have now the schedule for our policy review this year. The way that this was put together, and I've worked with Mr. Nielsen on this, is the first section of policies are mandatory policies, policies we're required to have that are between 6 and 9 years old. Last year, our goal was to make sure that we reviewed all the mandatory policies that were 10 years old, and we did accomplish that, 10 years old or older, and we did accomplish that. These are the remaining policies that are mandatory that are between 6 and 9 years old. The next set of policies are just very old policies. They're not mandatory policies, but it's time for the board to take a look at some of these older policies. And then the third section is for operational policies, meaning policies that affect our operations right now that we need to take a look at as well. And then finally, we leave an area just to add policy work as laws change and as things occur throughout the year. So that's how this list was put together, and that's how Mr. Nielsen and I would recommend the board move forward. Any questions?
And this is usually in the board library also, right? You keep that?
Correct.
Okay.
And then as we complete them, the dates completed will be there.
Right. Thank you.
So it's really a living document. So we don't have it as an approval item, just a consensus item, really?
Correct. It's your schedule, so you need to agree that that's how you'll proceed this year. And again, we can add policies, certainly, but this is a good strategy for us to keep our policies updated.
Does anyone have any comments about the document, or everyone happy with it? Okay. Linda, you see you?
I guess, the list is fine, but it'd be nice to know, like, so we have X number of policies, and this accomplishes so many % of it, to give us a sense of getting our arms around our policies. So that's not available now, but it would be nice to know what this represents relative to our overall policy book.
I think the number we have, I think it's about 137 policies total. So looking at this list, keeping in mind, the history of the work that we've done in the last several years, we definitely are making really good progress in terms of keeping up with our policies. I'd be happy to share more data with you if you'd like it. Be glad to do that.
You can just email me if nobody else is interested.
I think you really ought to, if you have some time and you want some fun, take a look at some other districts, at how many policies they have, compared to our little bit over 100. I mean, they have a policy for anything you can think of. It's just crazy. I think we're really
In the right
in a
spot.
good place.
And we're keeping our focus on what, we've been advised to do by the WASB,
Right. So-
particularly the last 2 years.
Right.
So.
Any other comments? Thank you. 9B are the board liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports? I just want to mention as for Community and Governmental Relations that the homecoming parade is Thursday, September 20th. And I don't have any other information on it now, except that we'll need a car or truck if anyone wants to volunteer. And good weather would be nice, too. So, and
I guess this probably counts. I did attend the
No.
foundation board meeting. Would that be under liaison?
well, that's not really liaison, well, you can report that, yeah, because I don't know unless you report that. Go ahead.
I attended via telephone. I wasn't physically there, but it was by phone. They recruited additional members, so that's good. And I know they're working pretty closely with the district on some of their goals and areas of fundraising. What else did I want to say? Let's see. And there will be teacher awards. They did give a teacher's award for each school building, and that, I think, is going to be presented at the opening day. Is that correct? Opening? I'm not sure. I think it is, right? Is that when they're giving the,
Could you ask the question again? I was.
Sorry. the teacher awards for each building? Is that being given out at the opening teacher vac?
No.
No, okay, all right, I'm not sure how they're giving those out, but, and they're also working,
They're mentioning them, yes, but I'm sorry, I was distracted by that homecoming date, I just want to make sure that that's the correct date. But they are going to mention them at the back to school, but they're not coming up on stage to accept the award.
okay,
Sorry about that.
again, to give visibility to the foundation and
correct.
kind of connect with the teachers, that was part of the reason. And they're also focusing on, you know, good grant request. I think you're also helping to guide that. And also, they have their events, they have the main fundraiser is Denim and Dice, which is November 17th at the Tuckaway Country Club, if you're interested in attending that. And
What is that about? I mean, the name, what does that mean?
you can wear jeans and roll dice, I guess. There is a,
Hey.
so you can check the website for more information. And they also have the consignment sale also is, if you want to donate, get rid of stuff, September 29th, another easy fundraiser that they have coming up. So that's what's going on.
Thank you. Any other regular liaison reports? Okay, then we'll move on to school and community engagement visits. I know we have some of those.
Does that count as right? You have to keep track of that, Secretary?
No, that was your board,
Oh, I can't count that?
no. But
I did, Debbie said,
that's, no, that's your liaison.
What is-
That's your, no,
If I would've
that doesn't
waited?
count, but you have one that counts because, from yesterday. But, so I'll start. You threw me off. Okay. Okay, for a school visit, I met with Mrs. King and Mr. Miziak at Forest Park Middle School as a school liaison to discuss my role as a liaison and how activities and opportunities would be shared with me. And they also discussed some of the challenges there for this year because of the construction and transition, and they did mention what Mr. Milzer talked about. And Mrs. King has already shared quite a few activities with me, which brings me to my next visit. This week, I went to, it's not really an open house, but there were building visits this week at Forest Park Middle School. And so I combined that with working with Volition, which used to be Parents and Students, Franklin Parents and Students United. And so we were in the hallway and we gave out root beer floats and greeted the parents as they came in. And Volition Youth handed out information to the students as they came in about substance abuse. And then I helped hand out root beer floats, and then I talked with parents as they came in and greeted them. And I also got to talk to the PAWS president, Mrs. Berg, and it just was a good day. And people liked the root beer floats. And then yesterday, several of us, so we'll talk about it, stopped into the new teacher welcome here for introductions, and it was a great group of teachers. more than I expected. And we got to hear the administrators embarrass themselves with a game called Table Topics, which I thought was really good, that Valley handed out to us. So Linda or Alan, did you want to talk about your visit here? What you thought of it?
Oh, it was interesting, yeah.
Well, that you have to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
To talk about your favorite ice cream topping.
oh, yeah. We all had a question that we had to answer. And mine was, what's your favorite ice cream topping? And I started off with, I moved into Franklin 40 years ago, and I think a lot of people thought this was gonna be a long story. Well, it was just to explain that we've got a lot of black raspberry plants, because they just keep on expanding, and that's what we put on ice cream at our house.
Except you said you had black raspberries coming out of your ears.
Yes.
And that didn't go well.
I could have mentioned another orifice.
Okay.
I was also surprised by the number of new teachers, but when they introduced themselves, it was sprinkled kind of all over the place, although I did think there was a lot of fourth grade teachers that were new. I noticed that. And then as I left, I discovered that one of the teachers is actually in our bowling league, and I didn't really recognize her, but, so, that was kind of different.
Oh, that's nice. Any other school or community visits so far? All right, thank you.
So how many did you have, Janet? Was that three?
3. It's not to cut.
I'm just
It's
trying to
not a
keep track
race.
of it.
It's not a race. Okay.
It's a group goal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a goal.
Thank you for contributing, Jen.
Actually, I just would like to visit. All right, future agenda items. School, we have a summer school report on September 12th, and we also, it's not on the list, but 4K update on September 12th. And then district administrator goals on September 26th, and coherence planning report on September 26th. Anything else?
When we talk about the coherence planning report, would it be possible to talk some more about the topic that you and Mrs. Witkowski was talking about, those values?
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about values all year long and years to come, won't we, Dr. Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important because I believe we're going to try to incorporate them into everything we do. So.
Thank you.
It's a good idea, yeah. Item 11, school board meeting debriefing. Any comments? All right, then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion by Mrs. Witkowski, second by Mrs. Larson.
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 5:58.